Omagyanatimarandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Very good. So we are here today for a very special occasion. This is what is called Guru Purnima. Purnima means the full moon. And Guru Purnima, very specifically, is that day of this month in which we celebrate the Guru. We celebrate the concept of Guru, but also not just the concept of Guru. The concept of Guru we know about. And that's why for this talk, I'm not going to talk about the concept of Guru so much, which I have in the past. What is a Guru? Why we need a Guru, etc. I think at this point we understand this. It's in writing and so many videos and talks where I've spoken about this. Rather, what I want to talk about is the person of Guru. The person of Guru. Because Guru is indeed a concept, Guru Tattva, Sri Guru Tattva, the principle of Guru. But more than this, and more importantly, the Guru is a person. And in our tradition, very specifically, we celebrate personhood, true personhood. Personhood, not as far as persona, fake personality that many people put on, illusioned personality. No, we celebrate true personhood, who we are as eternal persons, as Atman, as personalities. For us, God is a person in the highest sense of that term. Again, not in the human sense, but in the highest sense. And in the same way, when we speak about Guru, what makes Guru so important is indeed precisely the fact that Guru is person. You see, I can have a copy of Rig Veda, for example, very big book. Or I can have a copy of Mahabharata, bigger book, much bigger. Or I can have a copy of any specific Shastra. And is this something that is meant to teach us? Of course. But impersonally, you see, to simply sit down and read a book, we can gain a lot of insight. But then, what if we have questions? What if we're confused? What if we think that we understood something that we just read, and in actuality, the verse is saying literally the opposite? How are we to be guided in truth? How are we to be guided in our daily life? Well, this is where person comes in. This is why it's of such vast importance that we have in our lives an actual person, a personality who is there to guide us, to teach us, etc. And keeping with the idea that indeed we are Vaishnava, we are personalists, we believe that God is the ultimate supreme personality of Godhead, how can it not be the case that we would go to a person in order to teach us? What's very interesting, there was a guest who was visiting here a week ago or so from Austin, and we had dinner together and everything, and the person was saying something very interesting. He was saying how he himself is very spiritual. It's interesting. He tried to do the whole not religious but spiritual thing. He was saying in conversation how, yes, he doesn't really believe in going to churches. He doesn't believe in organized religion. He doesn't believe in pastors or this, that, the other. Rather, he just tries to be very, very spiritual himself. And I said to him, well, I understand. I understand entirely why that's the case and why you're saying that. Of course, I'm the number one person who says that you have to be very careful about humans who claim to be spiritual teachers or who claim to be anyone of authority. But at the same time, and I asked him this, I said, but God is of importance to you, right? And he said, oh, of course. Oh, of course, of course. I worship God. I believe in God. I try to serve God every day of my life. And it's interesting. I said to him, well, so you understand what is the nature of God, that God is that which is the source of everything, that God is perfection itself, that God is, etc., etc. And I then said to him, what does it mean for God to be so imperfect that he created human beings such that not one of them can know him intimately? Because really that's what you're saying. You're saying that God is great, but he's not great enough to make himself knowable to us. And he thought about that, and he was taken aback by that. And it's interesting. I explained this to him. If God has any importance, if God is real, if God has any power whatsoever, then it must be the case that there are certain individuals who can not only know God, but know God perfectly. If you say that God cannot be known, then there is something that God cannot do. You are saying then that there is a disconnect, an unreasonable disconnect between ourselves and God. And he understood my point. You know, he was very polite, and he understood my point that I was saying to him. That if God is real, then it must be possible that there are human beings at any given time who have the ability to know God perfectly. Such beings are the Guru. They are a minority of individuals, but they are individuals who know God perfectly. And more, they are persons. It's interesting. My guru wrote a book quite some time ago, over 30 years, about 35 years ago at this point, called Sri Guru and His Grace. And he explained how there are two ways in which the disciple should see the Guru. The first one is the formal sense that, oh, this is my Guru, he is above me, and I see him with awe and reverence. But the second way that we must also think of the Guru sometimes is, my Guru also is Vaishnava. My Guru also is a person with his own relationship with God. He is a personality. He is a person who, like me, traversed this path, went through so much pain, so much hardship, maybe sometimes doubt, etc., and got to the point where he finally established an eternal relationship with the divine. So it's interesting, seeing the Guru in this personal sort of way, in addition to seeing the Guru as Guru upon the pedestal, etc., we begin to understand just how important the personality of Guru is. You see, if Guru were simply, again, a principle, then instead of all these photos of diverse individuals, we would just have a rock. Or a composite image of every man. You know, take all the gurus in history and somehow smush their faces together and have a composite image. And, oh, it's the Guru. Yes, there is a Guru principle, but at the same time, personalities. And we have to respect them all for who they are, very distinct individuals. Some of them lived for millions of years. Some of them lived and passed away very young. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is not pictured here, again, we would have to have 100 images just to show the most important of our gurus. He passed away, I believe, at 48, something like that. So they're all different. They all lived in different times. They all had different stories, different names, different personalities. See, if you were to meet all these individuals, their personalities would be different. Some of them would be very serious. Some of them would be laughing all the time. They would be personalities. So this is why it's important to understand that concept, but also to understand this. This is also the nature of parampara. We have a relationship with them all. And we should try to have a relationship with them all. And a few times in conversation, when I've discussed this with people, I'll explain to them, the people in this world, the people who I most identify with, who, when I think to myself in a way, who is a friend? Who is someone who I feel as if this person is a confidant and I can discuss with them and I can relate with them? I think of Ramanuja. I think of people from the past who lived 1,000 years ago. And I have a relationship with these people. In the same way, we should get to know these people, know who they are, know what their life stories are, know, again, the struggles that they went through, know their teachings, the great things that they did. And again, if we were to highlight even, let's say, the top 100 of these people, it would be a massive book, just knowing who they are. at some point that will be one of my books if I live long enough, which I will. I want to at some point write a massive book trying to detail the life and teachings of as many gurus in our parampara as possible. I would like to try to do 100, really 108 if I can. So that will be a book in the future.